Hello and welcome to day 3 of Mind Over Money Matters with me, Rhiannon, host of The Vicar's Wife's Frugal Life. Let's get started. Today we're going to be talking about an emergency fund. Don't panic, Mr. Mannering. Right, so what is an emergency fund? Well, an emergency fund is a fund you use in the event of an emergency. If Christmas comes, can I use my emergency fund? No, you cannot use your emergency fund to finance Christmas. Christmas comes every year and we're going to save for that in a sinking fund, but we're not going to do that today, all right? So no using your emergency fund for Christmas. How about if my granddad dies and he lives abroad and I need money to be able to get to the funeral? Yes, that is an emergency. You can use your emergency fund for that because it is an emergency. How about if I see a coat I've had my eye on for a few months and it's in the January sales and it's a real bargain? No, that is not an emergency. How about the boiler breaks down and you've got a house full of people and you need to get someone to come out and fix it or replace it? Yes, that is an emergency. Hopefully that little strange conversation with myself has illustrated what is an emergency and what is not an emergency. So, how much should you be saving in your emergency fund? Well, I would suggest to you £1,000 would be a beginner's emergency fund. If you're on a very low income, then aim for 500, and obviously any money that you can save in an emergency pot is going to help. But I would really stress to you, try to save 1,000, and again, if you're on very low income, maybe aim for 500. How are you going to save this? Where are you just going to find this money lying around? Well, look around your home, look around your car, look around your garage, look around your storage locker, look around your bottom of your wardrobe, find some things to sell, number one. You would be really surprised how many bits and bobs you've got loitering in your cupboard that you could put on eBay and make money off. I have sold used scented candles before and got money from them. What else can you sell? Furniture, bits of furniture you've got lying around, especially even if you think, well, I haven't got fancy furniture, you know, I've just got sort of normal IKEA things. These things sell, people want them. If you put in the name and the model number on eBay or on Facebook Marketplace or Depop or whatever you're selling things on, you can get money for those items, okay? That'll be a really good way to make some money quickly. Please don't sell anything that doesn't belong to you. Please don't sell things that you or your family really need. I'm not telling you to go out and sell your laptop if you're a university student, because that would be really stupid, okay? So don't do that. But sell old clothes, clutter, an engagement ring from an ex-boyfriend if you've got one. Find what you can and sell it. So that's number one. Number 2 is to get a side hustle. Here are a few of the things that I did when I was getting out of debt. These will be different to you and your interests and your experience. Obviously, if you've got great skills and qualifications in a certain area, you can earn more money. Most of these I was earning minimum wage or less, frankly. I sold other people's stuff on eBay. I waitressed. I worked in a cafe. I worked in a respite centre with young adults with special needs as a carer. I babysat. All sorts of things. So can you dog walk? Can you make a meal and drop it to someone once a week, a busy working family? Can you mow grass? What can you do? There must be something you can do. Are you really good at building websites? Find a side hustle. Don't think too hard about it. Just put stuff out there. Use social media. Get the word out. You'll be really surprised at how quickly you can increase your side hustle income and maybe enjoy a new hobby as well. You've got to get into that mentality, especially if you're paying off debt, that this is a new hobby, okay? So your pizza round, your paper round, whatever you've found that is your new side hustle, embrace it, get the Audible book on, whatever you're going to do, and get on with it, okay? Think about the goals that you visualised in the first day of this process because they're going to get you through. The third idea for building up your emergency fund is just making cutbacks in your budget. I realise we haven't gotten to the budget element of this 30-day Mind Over Money Matters journey yet. We will get there, but just bear it in mind that you might have to cut back in some areas. Maybe you really enjoy your morning coffee. Maybe you make your morning coffee and you take it with you to work from now on. Maybe you really enjoy going on long drives at the weekend. Maybe you borrow a bike and you go and do that instead and you don't spend the money on petrol. Goodness knows, whatever your vices are, and it's not to say that you can never do those things again. If you really need your Starbucks skinny latte, extra foam, blah, 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 I don't drink coffee, I don't really understand, then you can have that when you've got out of debt, all right? So think of some things that you can cut back on. We will talk about hundreds of ways to save money later in the series, but just have that ticking away at the back of your mind. Your emergency fund, you're probably not going to come up with it by the end of today, and that's okay. I don't expect anyone really to do that, but you need to start the ball rolling. It may take you a year to get it together. It may take you 2 years to get it together. And remember, an emergency might happen as well before you've got it to the point at which you want to get it. You know, that's why we've got an emergency fund. But the point is, with the emergency fund, it'll stop you sliding back into debt. When you get an emergency fund and when you start accruing it, where are you going to put it? Well, if you have incredible self-discipline, by all means, keep it in a biscuit tin under your bed. But I don't have very good self-discipline like that. And I know I'd just be like, oh, I need some money for the pizza man. Oh, I'll just go in my biscuit tin. My emergency fund. It's emergency pizza, everyone, for all. Emergency Dominoes. That's pretty much what would happen in my house if I kept it under my bed. So I don't keep very much money in the house. So don't rob me. Thank you. I would suggest that you keep it in a bank account, an instant access saver if you can, but please don't keep it in one that is linked to your current account, especially if you've got a tendency to just dip in. You need to open a separate bank account, which you should be able to do even if you've got a terrible credit rating, and put it in an instant access saver. Now, some people will say, oh, but it's not earning enough money in there. It's not earning me any interest. I should save it or invest it somewhere better, and then it will give me more money. Yes, but this is an emergency fund. This isn't your savings and investments. Especially if you're in debt, you haven't got anything to save and invest yet. This money, you need to be able to get at it instantly, okay? So if the best thing you can come up with is the biscuit tin and you can trust yourself to do that, I'm not sure if I entirely believe you, but if you trust yourself, then you do that. But really, what you should be doing is putting it in an instant access savings account so that you can get to it really, really quickly, but that it's not linked to your debit card or your current account that you use every day, because we do not want you to just, oh, I'll just transfer that little £10, that little £20 in. No, 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 we don't want that, okay? So get that emergency fund together. So this emergency fund, you're aiming for £1,000 as a beginner's basic emergency fund. This will not be your final number. Really, if you're in paid employment and you get a paycheck at the end of every month, like most of the population in the UK at the moment, then I would say that you want to aim for 3 to 6 months expenses. That's not to 3-6 months salary, that's 3 to 6 months expenses. So if you really just had to cover your 4 walls to make sure that your heating stays on, your lights stay on, that you can still get to work and buy your Oyster card or put petrol in your car, whatever you need to do, okay? So that's what you'd be aiming for in an emergency fund eventually, 3 to 6 months expenses. We're going to do that when you've got out of debt, okay? If you're self-employed like me, what I'd really like for you to aim for is 12 months of your expenses. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Don't panic. Work with me. We're just aiming for the basic emergency fund now, okay? What are your ideas of how you can build up this emergency fund? What can you sell? What can you cut back on, and what side hustles can you hustle up? So in your notebook, which I hope you're amassing now, whether it's online or in paper form, please write yourself a list. So write a load of things that you could sell. Go round each room, it's a great time to declutter as well, January. So find a list of things you can sell. You might not have anything, and that's okay, but I bet you have something you can sell. Number 2, have a look at some things that you can instantly cut back on. What about that manicure you go for every 2 weeks? Could you cut back on that? I'm not taking away anyone's manicures, it's just a suggestion. And then finally, what are your side hustles? What could they be? What skills do you have? What things are you good at? What things over Christmas has someone said, oh, do you know what, Joe Blogs, you are really great at XYZ. Maybe it's making homemade earrings and selling them on Etsy. I don't know. Whatever it is, write it down, because you'll start thinking about those things already. This is really exciting. I hope you're fired up. Let's get our emergency funds together. You can do this. I promise you can do this. It might take you a week, it might take you a year, but I promise you can get this emergency fund together, and it will give you this huge new lease of energy and life and security on your debt-free journey. If you have any ideas and you have any great ideas, I would love it if you would share them in a comment below. I get messages from people every day saying that through videos like this and posts that I and others make on Instagram about their debt-free journey, it's really motivating people and it's making them feel like they aren't alone on their debt-free journey. So the more we can share and the more we can be open about money, I really believe that we can end some of the stigma and the shame around money. If you are feeling any shame, I'm really sorry, and I am empathising with you, not sympathising, Brene Brown, I promise I'm empathising, and I have been there and I do know how it feels, and I'm not right where you are, and your situation will be different to mine, and it will be different to the next person as well. You are unique in your situation, but that doesn't mean that there isn't support for you. As always, I've got the links to a load of people who can help and who are professional debt counsellors and volunteers, and also to the Samaritans if you feel that you really are in crisis. And finally, please, can you give this a thumbs up if you like this video, and also subscribe so you do not miss a single other video on this Mind Over Money Matters series. See you tomorrow. Bye. Emergency! Emergency! Christmas. It is not an emergency.